everyone, I'm Dr. Renee Mera. Thank you so much for joining Zoom In with Renee. Today I'm in the kitchen and I'm talking to a very renowned vegan chef, and he's also a consultant for plant-based manufacturers, Carl Loveday. Everybody knows about juicing. Let's talk about the difference between juicing and juice therapy.
Dr. Renee, that's a great question. A lot of us know about juicing, what we see on the internet, what we heard from friends, what you might even seen on television. But there's a big difference between just juicing and juice therapy. Juice therapy was taught by people like Jay Kordich, people like Dr. Norman Walker, a great doctor out of California named H.E. Kirshner. These guys were way ahead of their time. We're talking guys teaching juice therapy and juicing back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Jay Kordich is who I follow. I'm actually now married to his ex-wife. And I follow the teachings of Jay Kordich because over the years, Jay has always been ahead of his time, like I said about these previous juice therapists, in the fact that the things that he would talk about in his seminars and any talk he would give would eventually be proven scientifically 10, sometimes 20, 30 years later. And so the difference between juicing and juice therapy is combining the right things. Using mono juices like Jay was taught by Dr. Max Gerson, yes.
So you can't have tons of different fruits and different vegetables combine, only maybe maximum 3 fruits or 3 vegetables separately.
That is correct. Mono. That is correct. 3 should really be your max when you're dealing with something like juice therapy, because like you're saying, you have to have a maximum so the body isn't getting confused.
Exactly.
And that's been taught for millennia. If you look at Ayurvedic teachings, this is something where juicing comes from. People don't even realize that in India, juicing has been a mainstay for 1,000 years. Yeah. And here in the West, we think we might have been the ones that brought it to the world. And teachers like Jay Kordich and Dr. Norman Walker are definitely the purveyors of it in the Western world. But these techniques and these ways of augmenting your health with these vegetable and fruit juices have been done for a long time.
Of course, and it boosts up your immune system, your energy, it brings your metabolism on track. So very important. When we talk about mixing and combinations, we never mix watermelon with any other fruit.
That's right.
Or cantaloupe.
That is completely correct. When we're doing juice therapy, I mean, even the citrus here. Here we have 2 different citruses. We've got a nice mandarin orange and we've got a nice grapefruit here. This grapefruit right here is best to be juiced alone.
Yeah.
Talking about phytochemicals and boosting your immune system with these compounds, here's a really interesting fact about grapefruit. Grapefruit, just beneath the skin in its white pith or membrane, has a special terpene called hesperidin. It's a type of bioflavonoid. It's actually been studied and been proven to block the spike protein from entering the human cell. So this is one of just the many things that are inside things like grapefruit, and that's why you'd want to juice it alone. Yeah. The reason why you'd want to juice it alone is because the vital factor in these juices when we're making them, like with something like a fast juicer, is the pH is what we're looking at when we're looking at what is being done to the nutrients. And when you mix 2 different things, even though they might be alike because they're citrus, the pH in this tangerine could be different than the pH in this grapefruit.
And we're not putting the skin in.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. This is something that I learned directly from watching Jay Kordich and also from my wife, is that when you juice this particular grapefruit, it's always best to get grapefruits that are thin-skinned and just peel just the coloring off and leaving as much of the white pith, because that white pith is what has all those beautiful bioflavonoids, which is actually just a fancy name for nanoparticle vitamin C. It's just a type of vitamin C that helps deliver the larger molecule vitamin C.
Now, we're talking about, it's a controversial kind of slow juicers versus fast juicers. What's your take on it?
It's very controversial. Now, my take on it, once again, I follow in the footsteps of Jay Kordich, is that when you're using a fast juicer, the juices you're gonna get fast. And that's what we want when we're dealing with enzyme activity. There's 3 stages to the enzyme. There's a tertiary stage, which is the light stage. It's a biophotonic stage of the enzyme where it's completely living. The second stage is an amino acid stage, and the third and final would be a protein stage. Within 2.5 minutes of juicing this grapefruit, I'm going to have a denaturing of that enzyme from a light stage, what they call a quantum light stage, in that biophotonic structure, down to an amino acid. That amino acid is just not going to deliver all the nutrients and compounds that are in this grapefruit to the cell like it would in that quantum light stage. And the same thing goes down to a protein stage. So with the fast juicer, you may not be able to store the juice because you really want to be juicing fresh to get that enzyme content. And that's where we can come in and talk about slow juicers. Slow juicers are exactly that. They're slow. Do they maintain the nutrients? I don't think, my personal opinion, any better than the fast juicer, but you can store them. Most slow juicers, what they're going to have is what they call a microfiber in the juice. This will not have a microfiber. It has a micron filter. There'll be no pulp in this juice. That means you can assimilate 100% of this juice once it enters your body. Now,
but you need the pulp too.
Well, you need the pulp in the sense of a intestinal broom. There is fibers that we need from raw fruits and vegetables in minimal quantities that help broom out any bad things that might be in our intestinal wall. But for the most part, the nutrients and all the biofactors that we want from these fruits and vegetables lie in the juice. It's like Jay Kordich used to say, it's the juice from the fiber that feeds you.
What time should we have the juices?
You know, something like grapefruit is perfect in the morning.
In the daytime.
Yes, in the daytime. Now, something like vegetable juice can be consumed throughout the day.
Yes.
Something I like to do,
but
especially...
fruits like before sunset.
You know what? Fruits, I would say, if you're going to juice them, do them before sunset. If you're going to eat them, especially something like pears, if they're very ripe, can be done after the fact because they will promote sleep. There's a type of magnesium that is coupled with potassium in that pear when you eat it, when it's very ripe, that will help produce a calming effect on your body. And so if you ate that after sunset, it would be okay.
But generally, Ayurveda recommends fruits before sunset between lunch and dinner, or between breakfast and lunch.
And that's a smart thing to follow. Citrus especially, but with like the pear, it's a small exception.
Yeah.
Usually you're going to have such a high enzymatic content in things like papaya and mango, and like you said, that can disrupt
very alkaline.
sleep. Yeah. Exactly. And so they kind of help. They have the sorbitol, which is a natural way to calm the body down. But you're right, Dr. Renee. Ayurvedic teachings don't fall short of teaching the truth in all respects when it comes to juicing, especially with fruits, like you're saying, not to be consumed after a certain hour. And that's something Linda has taught for years, my wife, is that when you're dealing with foods, you don't want to eat certain foods after a certain hour because they'll promote energy when you're trying to shut the body down.
You can't sleep at that time.
That's right.
We talked about Linda Cordage. We're going to have her now, and she's going to tell us all about JuiceTherapy because she's a teacher, she's coaches, and she is an author of 3 books.
Don't forget, Dr. Renee, she's my wife too.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Carl.